Hello and welcome to another class, and here we're going to learn how to draw with a brush. It's very important to master this skill because it will help you a lot in terms of saving time and also trying to make your sketch very simple. Because okay, you can use your pencil, but the problem I have with a pencil is that it takes a lot of time for you to sketch on canvas, and sometimes it can be very difficult with the erasing and all that. A brush whereby you just create a very thin a very thin mixture of the color that you want. Especially I prefer using browns. You just create like a wash, and from there on you just pick one specific type of a brush and you use it to draw with it on your canvas or whatever surface you are using when you are starting off painting. So whatever kind of a painting that you are working with, whether it's a portrait, whether it's a still life or wildlife, it's very important to begin with this technique because it will help you get the basic shape of the object that you are doing, and also it will help you establish a very nice composition. For example, if it's a scenery or something. And also, because we don't need a lot of details on the sketch to begin with, because we are still going to cover it with paint. But instead of focusing on details, instead try to focus on creating a form, because it's so easy if you use that compared to using a pencil. With pencil, you're going to be like shading it to know to to come up with the darks, with the dark and the light. But with paint and a brush, it's going to be easy for you because you're going to use a wash, and you'll be able to cover a wide range of whatever subject you are drawing. So it's very simple and easy, and it might look a bit difficult because there's no erasing, there's no that, but it's in fact very simple, because even if you sketch with a pencil, you're still going to put paint on top of it and it's going to fade away. But but when you use paint, it's going to be very simple for you to see where the form is, and the compositions and all that. It's going to be very simple for you. When you're using a brush, try to stick on just um one type of brush. If it's a detailed one, or if it's a flat brush or a filbert one, just use one type of brush. If it also depends with the surface area of the of the canvas, or of the whole composition that you are working with. If it's a very huge canvas, a big brush will be advisable, but if it's a small one, you can just use a detailed one, or a number one or number two, because so that it can be easy for you to cover the whole spaces. That is something that is very difficult to achieve with pencil. Imagine you are creating a very big painting, let's say like 150 by 150. Well, it's going to be very tiresome to draw with pencil. First, creating the forms, and 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 creating the whole composition of the painting. Imagine if it's a scenery and you are there with your pencil drawing shading, drawing shading. It's going to be very difficult, and also it's just a waste of resources, because you're just going to use a very huge pencil. You're going to sharpen it all the time, so you're just going to spend like a whole pencil on one painting. And the way you understand, and the way a canvas is very rough, you're just going to spend your whole time sharpening your pencil. But if you use a paint, it's going to be very simple very very effective, and you're going to spend a lot of going to spend less time working on the initial stage of the painting. But always try to get the shapes and the form right when you're starting off with your drawing. So in this painting, I was working on a still life on a small paper, and basically it's just a bunch of fruits and a jar and all that. But you can see me creating um my initial outline, and I've it's this kind of composition consists of different shapes, circles, squares, and ovals, and those are the kind of thing that I first want to get in my drawing. You can see the circles, you can see the shape of the jar and all that, and it's so easy, especially if you are doing still life. You just can't use a pencil if you're using still life, because it's still life. If it's fruits and all that, it's just a bunch of simple shapes. You don't need to stress yourself with a pencil there. All you're doing is sketching and all, and erasing all that. Just take your paint and brush and a wash, and start painting. And also the negative spaces and the negative spaces will be very very important, because they just tell you that this is where the light and the shadow is, and it will create a very very huge opportunity for you to be able to correct your paint, your initial sketch, and all that. So I will advise you, instead of using a pencil, try and approach your painting using a wash. It looks it looks tough, but as you continue doing it, it's going to be very very simple and very very interesting, compared to using a brush, and very very time saving. So one important thing that I learned, it's so easy for you to create balance in your composition, that is visual balance, in such a way that your painting will not look like it's visually leaning on of the one side of the painting. If you've studied principle of art, you'll realize that balance is a very very important aspect in creating your artwork. You'll realize that it's so easy for you to control the surface. Sometimes you can be working on a very huge surface, and then you'll notice that your composition that you've done, or the sketch that you've done, is very very tiny, yet you have a very very huge surface to cover. When you use your brush, it's going to be so simple for you to notice that early, and it will be easy for you to fix. So this, for example, was a painting for acrylic on canvas, and you can see me now working on a very huge composition, but I'm creating my initial sketch using paint. And also, we learned early on how it's very important for you to have a sketch of your composition that you're working on a sketchbook, because it's going to be easy for you to reference. So here I am creating my initial sketch, and this was an acrylic and oil on canvas. The the surface, the orange and red surface was acrylic, but I was creating my initial sketch using oil paint. But it's just the same thing, but I just wanted you to know, to learn, and to see how I was creating my initial sketch using paint. It's very very simple and very very interesting and very very fast, and it's very easy for you to create a composition of more than one subject. Once you are done with that, now you can now proceed to the next stage of your paint of the process, where now you can start applying color and all that. But for this class, it was just learning about how to create the initial drawing or the initial sketch using paint. So thank you very much. I hope you've learned a lot in this tutorial, And basically what you can do from now on, you can just take maybe like you can just do like maybe 5 paintings whereby you just create random shapes or random composition using paint, and you'll see how interesting it is. So thank you very much. I'll see you in the next lesson.